Rachel Reeves just faced the one thing every politician fears most: being exposed live on national television. In front of millions, Nigel Farage ripped apart her carefully constructed image and revealed a corruption scandal so shocking it left Reeves visibly shaken, stumbling over her words, and scrambling for excuses. What unfolded wasn't just a heated debate, it was a meltdown, a public unmasking of Britain's so-called financial expert. And the worst part? The corruption Farage exposed goes straight to the heart of government, your money and your future. For years, Rachel Reeves has sold herself as the calm, steady hand Britain needs in a storm. The woman who claims to understand finance better than anyone, the politician who insists she has the knowledge to steer the economy out of crisis. But Nigel Farage just blew that entire narrative to pieces. Live unfiltered and impossible to spin. It started when Reeves was pressed on her financial record. Instead of the polished talking points she normally delivers, the truth came crashing down. Farage confronted her directly with documents numbers and a trail of corruption that the mainstream media had conveniently ignored. And in that moment, Reeves couldn't hide behind vague answers or clever lines. She was cornered. The meltdown began with a simple question: why had she repeatedly misled the public about her time at the Bank of England? Reeves froze, her face tightening, her voice suddenly shaky. She tried to brush it off, claiming it was just a misunderstanding. But Farage wasn't letting her escape. He fired back with cold, hard facts. Records showing she inflated her experience, pretending to be an economist when in reality she was handling customer service calls. The audience gasped. The illusion was shattered. Here was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the woman trusted with the financial future of 67 million people, caught red-handed in a lie she's been repeating for years. And as Farage pressed harder, her composure cracked. But this was only the beginning, because Farage didn't stop with her fake credentials. He pulled out evidence of something far more disturbing: a pattern of financial misconduct that cuts to the very core of her integrity. He revealed how Parliament once had to strip Reeves of her official credit card after she ran up thousands in unpaid expenses. Taxpayer money spent recklessly, never repaid, until she was forced. Reeves tried to laugh it off, tried to wave it away as if it didn't matter. But the audience wasn't laughing. The cameras caught her fumbling for words, her hands shaking as she tried to spin what was clearly indefensible. Imagine that the woman responsible for Britain's entire budget couldn't even manage a single credit card responsibly. Farage drove the knife deeper. He connected the dots between Reeves's lies, her financial recklessness, and the dire state of Britain's economy today. He reminded viewers of the pathetic 0.1% growth Reeves recently bragged about, painting it as some sort of victory. In reality, as Farage bluntly put it, that's an economy on life support, a nation sinking while its leaders celebrate failure. The meltdown grew worse as Farage demanded answers about pay rises. He looked Reeves straight in the eye and asked why she had supported MPs giving themselves more money while families across the country struggled to keep the lights on. Her response? Stuttering, rambling, desperately trying to justify the unjustifiable. The hypocrisy was laid bare for all to see, a politician enriching herself while ordinary families face impossible choices between heating and eating. This wasn't just a political debate, it was a public trial and Reeves was the defendant. Every word she spoke, every attempt to deflect, only confirmed what millions already suspected. She's not just unqualified, she's dishonest. And Nigel Farage, love him or hate him, refused to let her wriggle free. The more Farage exposed, the clearer the picture became. Reeves's career isn't built on competence or expertise. It's built on deception, on lies, repeated so often that they started to sound like truth. But now the mask has slipped and the truth is impossible to ignore. Her meltdown wasn't just about being caught in a lie. It was about being stripped of the one thing every politician depends on: credibility. Once that's gone, no amount of spin can bring it back. And Reeves knows it. That's why her voice shook. That's why her excuses fell flat. That's why this moment may go down as the turning point in her career. The day the facade crumbled live on television. And yet, as shocking as Reeves's meltdown was, the real story isn't about her alone. Because what Nigel Farage exposed wasn't just one politician's corruption. It was proof of a much deeper sickness inside Britain's political system, one that puts lies, greed, and self-protection above the people they claim to serve. And in Section 2, I'll show what Nigel Farage exposed live on air was just the beginning. Rachel Reeves's meltdown pulled back the curtain. But what lies behind it is a pattern of corruption and deceit that should terrify every single taxpayer in Britain. Because this isn't just about one politician making a few mistakes. This is about a government that has normalised lying, normalised waste, and normalised enriching themselves while the rest of the country suffers. The deeper you look into Reeves's record, the more disturbing it becomes. Her lies about her Bank of England experience weren't a one-off slip of the tongue. They were deliberate, repeated, and calculated. Why? Because she knew that the truth, that she was never an economist, never shaping policy, never the expert she claimed to be, wouldn't have won her power. So she invented a persona, a false identity, and sold it to the public as fact. That's fraud, plain and simple. But the corruption doesn't end there. While she was building this fake reputation, Reeves was also failing at the most basic tests of financial responsibility. Remember that £4,000 in unpaid expenses? That wasn't her money. It was your money. Taxpayer money. Money meant to fund legitimate parliamentary business. And she treated it like a personal piggy bank. When she got caught, Parliament had to step in and confiscate her credit card, like she was an irresponsible teenager. Think about that. The person managing Britain's entire budget had to be treated like a child who couldn't be trusted with spending. And yet she wasn't punished. She wasn't fired. She wasn't even demoted. Instead, she was promoted, protected, rewarded. That's the real scandal here. Because corruption doesn't survive in isolation. It survives when an entire system looks the other way. Labour knew about her background. They knew about her lies. They knew about her financial recklessness. And they still handed her the keys to the British economy. That's not just incompetence, that's collusion. Farage spelled it out clearly. This isn't about one lie, one card, or one politician. This is about a government that is rotten from the top down. Reeves is just the most obvious symptom of a much deeper disease. The disease of arrogance, the disease of entitlement, the disease of politicians who think they're above the rules that bind the rest of us. And while they protect themselves, ordinary people are paying the price. Inflation is eating away at savings. Wages are flat while grocery bills climb higher every week. Mortgages are becoming impossible. Rents are swallowing half of people's paychecks. And families are being forced to choose between heating their homes or feeding their children. And what do politicians like Reeves do in response? They vote themselves pay rises. They celebrate 0.1% economic growth like it's some kind of miracle. They lie about their credentials and hope no one notices. But now people are noticing. The meltdown everyone saw live on television wasn't just embarrassing for Reeves. It was a symbol of something bigger. It was proof that these politicians can no longer hide behind spin and PR. When confronted with the truth, their lies collapse. Their confidence shatters. Their arrogance is exposed. And that should give every single person watching a sense of power, because it shows that they can be held accountable. The question now is simple. What comes next? If a politician lies about their qualifications, should they be allowed to stay in power? If they misuse taxpayer money, should they be trusted with the national budget? If they deliver failure after failure, should they be rewarded with more pay, more power, and more protection? Nigel Farage made one thing crystal clear. The system is broken, but it doesn't have to stay broken. Accountability starts with exposure. It starts with refusing to accept excuses. It starts with demanding consequences for lies and corruption. But that only happens if people refuse to stay silent. This is why your voice matters. Your outrage matters. Your demand for the truth matters. Because if we don't hold Reeves accountable, if we let this meltdown fade into just another political scandal, the cycle will continue. More lies, more corruption, more suffering for ordinary people while politicians protect themselves. So here's the challenge. What do you think should happen to Rachel Reeves after this public exposure? Should she resign? Should there be an official investigation into her financial record? Should politicians who lie about their qualifications face automatic removal from office? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your opinion is the one that matters most. And if you believe the truth deserves to be heard louder than the spin, share this video with friends, family, and colleagues. Let them see what really happened live on TV. Let them see the meltdown. Let them see the corruption. And let them know that together we can demand better from the people.